The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Hello and welcome to the midweek edition of Soccer to the Max, as we're pretty much going on right after the U.S. Open Cup. Good Lord. I will try to get through this. I feel like I'm fighting against the fan.
Sean, just call that my computer's reaction to the news that you gave me before we started. It knows I'm angry.
Well, I'm sorry. This, says, as Erik just said, his computer's having reactionary issues right now. So if it goes up and down, you'll just have to kind of go through it here. But anyway, we are coming off the very, very long U.S. Open Cup semifinal between the Sporting KC and San Jose Earthquakes. The game ended 1-1, went to extra time in regulation, no goals. We go to penalties with Sporting KC won a U.S. Open Cup on penalties 5 years ago. They won an MLS Cup on penalties. So you kind of felt it was going to be in their favor. It even goes to sudden death, and in the first sudden death, Matt Beasler falls on his butt but still scores. And then the penalty is saved for Victor Bernardez, and Sporting KC are going to the final.
Yay? I mean, credit San Jose, but my God, the zonal marking in that extra time, it's like nobody's going to win. Why just kick the ball around for a little while?
Well, that's why we've seen a lot of tournaments just go with the penalties, straight to penalties.
And again, everybody ragged on MLS the late 90s for using the old 35-yard shootout. Was it really that bad? I mean, really? Can we not revisit that idea? Please.
I just don't know that in soccer it works like hockey, where having a running start is really great. You're on skates. That helps you much better.
Well, you don't have a running start. You start with kicks from the mark. You can start a set distance from the 12-yard spot. You're standing right on the ball at the 35-yard mark. Referee blows his whistle, you start going.
There's a reason why they quit doing it.
Well, there's a reason why they did it for 4 years to begin with. There's a reason why the NASL did it in the 70s.
That's because they were adamant about wanting to be their own thing, and then they realized, it's probably better to be like the rest of the world. People might actually take it a little bit more seriously. I wouldn't mind them using the system that we saw in the Community Shield.
Even England was floating this system, and they were going to start right at half and give players 8 seconds to score. So the idea has been mentioned.
The penalties weren't the problem, though. I mean, the problem was that the extra time was pretty much unnecessary because no one really tried to score except for at the end. And
no, they tried to score, but then when you have 11 players forming a gigantic letter D, it's kind of hard to punch through.
Also, to be fair, did you see the statistics for this game? How lopsided it was for Sporting KC?
Didn't they have it like 1.75% possession?
Yes. And they had like double the amount of shots. Pretty much everything else.
How do you not win? I am so confused.
They did win.
No, how do you not win without penalties? That's my question.
Because, Jamaica won 2 games doing that in the Gold Cup. I mean, sometimes parking the bus works. Not that San Jose totally parked the bus, but they were obviously letting Sporting KC control things.
Oh, yeah. This gives me even more motivation to root for Cincinnati.
Well, I just want Cincinnati to get in there because it's always nice to have it not be all MLS. Plus, I mean, it helps them also in their quest to become an MLS team. So, if you're
something that Don should be paying attention to.
Well, he is.
Rightfully so.
Except it's hard when, another city adds a very wealthy owner to their ownership group.
Why? For the love of God, why? I read that again. I made sure I was reading it.
Wait, so why isn't he in the Minnesota United ownership group?
Thank you! $1 million question! You're right there! The Loons are right there! There!
I'd have to think that maybe whoever, all the people that own the Loons, they didn't want another person taking part of the pie. Or
so then
maybe he sees... I'm just saying maybe he sees Minnesota being the way they are this year and going, I don't know if I want to be in that.
Here's an idea. You wrap them in a gigantic bear hug, take them over, then you fix them. Done.
Yeah, but he may not want to be the majority owner. He may just want to be on the ownership team. Maybe not like a LeBron piece of Liverpool or anything, but not the one that has to make all the decisions either. I think we got to think about it like this too. It is always nice to be with a team from the very beginning and be able to have a say in how everything's shaped from the word go and not have to kind of just be a part of something that's already been made and already in MLS.
Nice, but stupid. In this case.
How much of it also would not be stupid if it wasn't Nashville where you were adamant that you don't want a team to be there?
No, it would still be stupid.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't Nashville bias or anything.
No. In this case, it's not a Nashville bias. It's just stupid.
I just want to point out that if we have any fans that listen in Nashville, whatever Erik says does not mean that the rest of us of the podcast feel that Nashville should not have an MLS team. Just so we don't get nasty hate tweets.
Look, at Squid Sports Head, and to my defense, my best friend's fiance is from Nashville. I don't see him entirely hopping on board with this.
Is he a soccer fan?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure. Does he watch MLS?
Yes.
Okay.
Not to mention, he's of Mexican heritage.
Too bad we can't have him on for this debate later. But, all right, so anything, Rachel, did you watch this game?
Nope.
No?
I'm saving my energy for the Cincinnati match so I can be horribly confused because I want them to win, but I also don't because I'm a Riverhounds fan and we don't like each other.
Yeah, I can see the conflicting feeling there. Plus, who wants Red Bull in the final? I mean, come on.
Oh, well, Rachel, think of it this way. Sometimes... Let me explain this carefully. You know I'm a Dolphins fan, but sometimes I have to swallow my pride, my dignity, and parts of my humanity, and root for a team like the Patriots. Unfortunately, with a mutual benefit, this is how it goes. Now, granted, I want to get blackout drunk afterwards, but I still go through with it for the greater good. Think of it like this.
So, just get horribly drunk before the game?
I wouldn't say before the game. I would say if it doesn't work and Cincinnati loses, it's more excuse to get horribly drunk afterwards.
Ah, I see.
Or you could just get drunk right before the game starts. Then you don't have to worry about being conflicted because you're not even thinking about what's happening in the game.
Nah, I would use other substances if you're going to take your mind off of the game during. You want a lighter feeling while you're doing that. Drinking, it makes you feel too heavy.
Well, that's true. You could always smoke the green.
Exactly! This is what I was talking about. I got some very good recipes for some delicious edibles if you're interested.
Well, now that we have had our lesson and, I feel like we need to have one of those people from Dare come on the show and explain to us.
No, leave Dare out of this. However, if anybody from the fine folks at Magical Butter is listening, I would gladly appreciate your input. Karen Angel, Chef Joey, come on now. You don't even have to talk any sort of compensation, although ideally a machine would be nice. I'm just saying. Future reference. Not right away.
We're still waiting for Night Owl Cookies, a Boston pizza place, Magical Butter, which sounds like it could mean something else, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
The Hostess ice cream situation, which I think that ship has sailed because that was a limited run. Boston's, I'm way too disappointed, and I'm over them now.
Hey, I feel like we can't even go back to this game now. Honestly. So
See, this is what happens when you have a game played like that. It's just whoop-de-doo.
I mean, the game wasn't great by any means unless you're a Sporting KC fan, which none of us are. We're trying to watch this objectively, and it really felt like, other than the goal from Danny Hosen, which should be commended, it was an early goal, and I think that might have changed things for San Jose, kind of feeling like, okay, we can sit back a little bit. And, Sporting did have to wait a while to get that goal, but they got it, and then it became the game that it was. Sporting kind of pressing a bit, San Jose sitting back, and then we had the extra time we already talked about. Sporting wins on penalties, and hey, we'll see next week what Cincinnati and Red Bull do, which hopefully much better game at that point. But one half is already in there for the Open Cup at least. But it wasn't. That wasn't all for Sporting KC. For the longest time since the beginning of this trade for Dom Dwyer, the feeling was that Christian Nemeth was coming in return back to MLS. Finally, at basically the midnight hour here, because this was the last day of transfers. The transfer window closed for MLS. Some bigger ones happened that we'll talk about in a little bit, but Sporting KC get their man, so to speak, and they send $350,000 in, don't know if it's GAM or TAM, back to Columbus Crew to take their allocation spot.
I mean, not really much I can say except for
it's been a long time since I've seen Nemeth play, so I can't really comment on if I know he's going to obviously give Sporting KC a scoring punch, but I don't know that they've really missed Dom Dwyer so much. Like they seem to be fine.
Yeah, their reputation's been defense. We'll score whenever we get lucky and feel like it. So, this was just like, well, okay, bye.
I feel like, plus, Rubio's been fine, and so has Blessings scored, I think, like 3 or 4 goals. So, the changes allowed him to kind of change formation and put someone else there. So, I think the biggest signing here is by Erik's team, not the Zoltan Stever move that we talked about previously, but Paul Arriola of the U.S. men's national team leaves Tijuana to come to DC United. Rachel, you were wondering why he would leave.
I'm sorry, Erik. I'm sorry, RFK. Sorry, DC United fans, but all these moves ain't gonna change DC United in an incredible, drastic manner. I don't understand leaving Liga MX for DC United.
No need to apologize to me. Ben? Really, Ben? Why all this now? Have you not been hearing what I've been saying, Ben? Did I not tell you to stop trying? Where were all these moves at the beginning of the transfer window, Ben? Why have I been having to sit through 20
This
plus
always
games of
happens.
Ben?
Hold on. This always happens. You have moves happen at the end of the transfer deadline. It happens with every frickin' sport.
But what's the point? If you're trying to relate this to a big place like baseball, fine. Yes, sellers. You ain't buyers. Gee, just... Shit.
Well, but this is soccer. You don't quit. You don't tank. You don't give up. You don't do all that in soccer. There is no, oh, we're going to pack it in for next year. This is what you do.
But no. No. Of course you can't do that in other leagues because you have promotion and relegation. And if you did in MLS, I would honestly be having a torch in hand, pitchfork in the other, standing outside of RFK, calling for Ben Olsen's head to be on a pike. But I'm not. I'm at least giving him the benefit of the doubt. If he just decides, you know what, to hell with these last 10 games, 2018 is right around the corner. I don't even get that satisfaction now. I swear, every week they find new ways to piss me off. I can't take this. Oh,
man. You are... I don't know why you're mad about your team actually doing stuff.
Because why now? Why when 2/3 of the season is already gone and I've had to...
Well, for one, Paul Arriola was in the Gold Cup and World Cup qualifiers. I mean, maybe he had to, play for the U.S. to find out, hey, maybe I want to play in the U.S. League too.
Okay, for Arriola, I would understand, but then Rachael brings up a solid point. If you're coming to play back home stateside, why DC United? Why did you want to light an extra match and pour some kerosene onto that?
Well, remember that U.S. men's national team players, that's by allocation.
Why am I sober right now? Why? Why do I have to always get this kind of news when I don't have anything in my system to ease the pain?
You had a 2.5 hour game you could have drank.
Drinking involves money. Money does not come in until my paycheck tomorrow.
Well, I feel you. I have $10 on me until the 19th of August, so I feel you. I'm not kidding either. I still hate
Paul Arriola.
What? Wait, why? He got better.
I don't care for him. I just don't think he's... I don't know. Everyone hypes him up, and I don't see it.
I agree with you that it's not oh my god, they're winning the league now because Paul Arriola's there. He does make them better.
And he wasn't very impressive in the Gold Cup.
Okay, well, Rachel, let me ask you this. Areola or De Jong, who's worse?
Do I have to answer this?
Just say De Jong.
De Jong.
Okay, then that pisses me off even more because United could have made an even worse decision. I would have been happy with
Why
that.
are you wanting them to make bad decisions? I don't understand this.
Because you're done. This is done. Why bother?
But you don't do that, though, in soccer. You don't just give up. Ben Olsen would have been fired if we don't do anything.
No,
That's the point.
He wouldn't have. Okay, then maybe he gets fired, and then all I'm saying is, if you're going to create the flaming tires, why not add a little extra wood or other debris? Let's see the damn thing from space and see how it goes from there.
Fair enough. So another move for one of your teams here, Erik, is the possible trade of Luis Gil for Dylan Powers to the Rapids. So Luis Gil goes to the Rapids and Dylan Powers comes back to Orlando.
Okay, I guess.
I was waiting for Erik to say no, don't do it, because it makes my team is going to get better.
No, but see, here's the thing. Orlando actually started the season trying. They've hit a rough patch, but they still care, as well they should. They're in a position to still do something this season. That's completely different. Completely different.
I do think Dylan Powers upgrade over Luis Gil.
Yeah, because, Gil is really a non-factor. I would love to see where Powers fits in, and any boost is a good boost. God knows Orlando needs it. They're still fighting. Again, Ben, this is what happens when you have a team that cares from the get-go. From the beginning. Look at how many points they have. Look at how many you have. What's the difference?
Fair enough. I feel like you're still hating on that team for making.
They have earned my wrath and my hatred.
And apparently there are teams in MLS that want Gareth Barry. If you remember Gareth Barry for Liverpool when he plays for Everton right now, he's 36.
Whoa, huh?
That would just make the MLS known as a retirement league even more.
Yeah, it's between Vancouver and Toronto, by the way.
Hey, DC United, sneak in and sign him. Go for it.
He would make them better too. So you're asking? He's not been at Everton for 3 years because he sucks.
Yeah, but what's Everton done lately?
Keep rising in the Premier League and get bought by a very wealthy owner, and they made a lot of moves this offseason.
Okay, get bought by a wealthy owner. So now you're in talks of Chelsea and Manchester City in that situation. Now they're going to be playing for Premier League titles. Okay.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, though. Gareth Barry's still there. They could have removed him. So how do you like Lamar Nagel coming back?
Woo! Go Sounders, go.
Yeah.
He's had a successful run with them before, so I think that's more or less like a he's going to be coming off the bench type of guy.
I'd rather him come off the bench for a winner.
Oh my God.
I I can't disagree with you. It's just, I'm sure he is happy that he's coming off the bench for a winner too.
As well as he should be. My first move would have been take off that DC United shirt and burn it.
He's
wave goodbye.
Have went sooner.
Yeah, like why did I leave in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Well, it was the allure of DC. Lamar, totally not your fault. It's all good. I ain't mad at you. Thank you for being one of the few players who tried. Go right on to Seattle, and hey, if you win MLS Cup, I'll be proud for you. Just make a fly over to RFK, light a couple extra matches, create a little extra molliation. Just be cool.
I want to state this just so we can get the great saying from Erik. The Portland Timbers have signed 22-year-old New Zealand international Bill Twilioma from Marseille.
Man!
So,
it's going to be hard to deliver in this Portland weather, though. Everybody in the Pacific Northwest stay safe. Things are cooling down, but you can't carry a 30-pound mail sack in 90 to 100-degree heat. That is not friendly on the body.
You know,
think about this.
See, if you're in New Zealand, all you have to do is make the Confed Cup, and then all of a sudden you find yourself playing for better teams. This is now the third New Zealand international that's been signed in this transfer window by an MLS team.
Well, this is what happens when male men learn how to play soccer. A blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Well, you're not wrong. So, and perhaps the biggest move, Carlos Vela becomes the first signing for Los Angeles FC, showing the Galaxy this is the Mexican international you actually should have signed. And Mexico is pissed. They want to know why their players are going to MLS and not going back to Liga MX if they're going to leave Europe.
Pretty funny that Chicharito came to the defense of Carlos Vela, too.
What did he have to say?
He just basically said that that people in Mexico were being, like, ridiculous and that Carlos Vela going to LAFC would be a good move for his career.
Oh, of course. You know, Mexico, anybody in Mexico is going to overreact because that's what they do.
Well, maybe if Liga MX didn't have so many issues, I mean, he's like, hey, shiny new stadium, cool owners, they're forming a decent team. Yeah, I'm going to go here. If there's any end of the pitch that points towards Mexico, every time I score, I would just get up and wave towards that end. Just say, yeah, I'm here. Yeah, you see what I did. Later, I'm going to go back to playing now.
Well, I mean, you're gonna have to point different directions depending on where you are. So.
This is true. You just turn that same end towards that same end and wave regardless.
Oh, I am so sorry. I am sorry for wasting everybody's time at the beginning of the show here. And now I am terrible for not reading that tweet correctly here. Christian Nemeth is going to the New England Revolution for the $350K GAM. Well...
Whoops.
They have been saying that Kai Kamara had to actually apologize to the people about how badly he'd been playing this season.
Well, I mean, New England as a whole, aside from Diego Fagundes and Nguyen and a couple of others have been playing like crap. Now, granted, it's not DC United crap, but it's crap nonetheless. So he's not the only one that needs to commit a mea culpa. But again, the Patriots are about to start their season, so nobody in New England's really going to care anyways.
And, then you have Ethan Finley going to Minnesota United in a trade, so Columbus Crew can get some more Gam and Tam, $425,000 of it. So the Columbus Crew's whole deal is to just get Gam and Tam in this.
So hoarding money to do what exactly?
Get a player later. That would be my thought on that. That's gotta be the only thought, is you hope to sign a bigger player later. So I think they did say that they wanted to bring in their own DP. So
okay, now that's understandable. You need to fill the coffers for something like that. So if that happens, okay.
I feel like Columbus or not Columbus, but Minnesota, like, what are you doing? You have problems defensively. Why are you signing a bunch of wingers?
Because Minnesota?
Their name is the Loons.
And it's Minnesota.
So are you saying that because they're in Minnesota, they're stupid?
I'm not saying stupid. I'm just saying unorthodox. Not to mention, you're going back into some pretty prime drinking season again. Now that football is coming up and hockey's a couple months away, so there's that.
I guess, but Rachel's right. Their nickname is the Loons, so you got to give it to them. FC Dallas have signed. Oh, I'm happy about this. They've signed a Venezuelan, so I can now my own country, or half of my own country. Now we have a countryman there. Luis Gonzalez is actually pretty good, so
See, you win on all counts with that move.
Plus, they're apparently talking to, remember Maxi Rodriguez? From the Argentina teams?
What?
Yeah. Fernando Calvillo likes to make his international signings, so that'd be kind of cool to see him.
Ben, you see, Ben? This is what good teams do. These are ideas what good teams do. Why do you have these ideas?
It all goes back to Ben.
Oh, dear God.
Poor Ben Olsen. Him and Dawn.
Don't even get me started on Dawn, all right?
God. Yeah, don't mention Dawn with him, because we'll be here a while. Even though we might have to mention Dawn later. But Chicago Fire also apparently in for Gareth Barry, too. So it's 3 MLS clubs wanting 36-year-old Gareth Barry. So I feel like, didn't we learn from Steven Gerrard? Like, you want to bring another guy like that in? Okay. Whatever works for you. They're, all 3 years. I mean, I think he would be fine if he goes to Chicago because he wouldn't have to play much. Or Toronto. But with Vancouver, he might actually have to get on the field, and then maybe an issue.
That's another reason why I say DC United should go for him. Make him good and disgruntled and fan those flames.
Okay, so we've been talking about players moving into MLS. Now let's talk about some players leaving out of MLS or wanting to anyway. You've already heard Kellen Acosta probably thinking about moving in the summer transfer window to Europe, which I don't have a problem with. The dude's, 22? Go get you some experience, buddy. And then you have Gilles Van Damme, probably the only actually good defender that the Galaxy have. Getting reports. Captain. Yeah, and their captain. Getting reports that for family reasons he might consider going back to play for a team in Belgium.
Jovan Jones will be leaving the Sounders at the end of the season and going to Darmstadt in Germany.
Big blow to the Sounders.
Which is kind of funny because they're a Bundesliga 2 team.
Well, you got to start somewhere, right? You get noticed in Bundesliga.
I mean, they got relegated this last year.
Well, what's so terrible about these guy Bundesliga? Maybe he might be a piece to get them back promoted to the Ein Bundesliga.
Maybe.
What?
I love that you're doing that with the German and everything. That's great.
Ein, drei, I know a little bit. You can thank all of my studying of math. I gotta give the Bundesliga proper respect here.
Well, another Venezuelan might be leaving, and Yaho Herrera, who has been really good for NYCFC, and of course he was great for Venezuela in the Under-20 World Cup, might go to Olympique Lyonnais. If they're coming calling, I'm not saying no.
Well, of course not. They want to try to upstart and create a new dynasty, because after they won, 6 straight championnat, they fell off the map.
Yeah, good luck with that, with PSG signing everybody and their mother. So, or their father, I should say, with Neymar's father getting all that money. So, I don't know. I don't care who Lyon signs. They're not competing with anyone.
Nope.
In the if PSG doesn't win that thing running away, if they get Mbappe, something happened. They had 20 injuries.
And then this is what I was saying. They're not in Champions League this year, are they?
Yeah, they are. That's the whole reason that Neymar wants to go, because he thinks that they're going to win Champions League.
Oh my God! So
he can get that Ballon d'Or, even though he could just win the World Cup and get the Ballon d'Or too.
Exactly, or just win the World Cup and probably continue whatever escapades that are potentially alleged with him and Gisele Bündchen. Do that.
Wait, there's escapades?
Oh, it's a very long story. I'll have to explain off air. It's been something that's been brewing for the past couple of years, and I also have some additional theories. But anyway,
if I'm Neymar, I don't want to mess with Tom Brady. So, Tom Brady looks like the type of dude that will fuck you up. So
he had long hair and he wears UGG boots. Really?
Hey, have you seen him when he gets pissed? I don't think,
Have you seen me when I get pissed? We all have moments. Woo.
Hey. We see his moments a lot more, so to be fair. So there is this interesting thing with Yanives Balou Tabla in Montreal. He's 18. He's had even Chelsea give him an offer. And the club keeps saying no. They want him to stay in MLS longer. He wants to leave. I mean, I understand Montreal wanting maybe a higher bid, or they really want to hold on to him, and there's not a crazy amount of homegrown Canadians that maybe add to your team here. But I mean, this is a big time Premier League club coming in for you. I can kind of understand Tabla here, right? I mean,
so can I. And then, as we said off air, Canada's trying to also start a Premier League so they can at least get a pipeline and have a lot more Canadian talent to develop, because they've got an eye on 2026, as they should. But at the same time, if you've got talent that's already developed, this is a tremendous offer. This is really one of the top 10, 15 clubs in all of Europe. People kill for this kind of opportunity, and especially at 18, you go ahead and you go so that talent can even be better cultivated.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're always pro being in Europe, Rachel, but couldn't he get loaned out and get just as much learning as he would staying in MLS with Montreal?
I mean, yeah. I mean, look at Matt Miazga. Look at Andreas Christensen. I mean, it all depends where you go. Matt Miazga went to the Netherlands, I think, with his club. Andreas Christensen went to Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Christensen's about to be a starter. Miazga's doing well in Europe, getting back on the national team track. I mean, there's a lot of upsides to going in Europe, and whether Bruce Arena likes it or not, I know this is a Canadian player, but still, going to Europe looks a lot better on paper.
Oh, plus you also have, Eric Palmer-Brown that had that great, he had a nice little run in Portugal as well. I mean, to show that, hey, you can go have a few years and maybe you catch on and you do well, and if anything, you can always come back to MLS. It's not the worst thing. I know Montreal wants to keep their player and everything else, and they have every right to, but he's young. Let him go gain that experience, and I think you still keep his rights anyway. So I don't know if it's a total loss for Montreal, but yeah, this will keep being an ongoing thing, and now the transfer window's closed. So I don't know how that works since the transfer window is still open for another 20 days for Europe. Can Chelsea still... That's a one-way thing, right? It's like if there's players coming in MLS, you can still have players leave MLS to go to, like, England or Spain or whatever, right?
I would assume so.
Yeah. So, they still got 20 days to figure this out. Maybe he does go. Again, if he went to Chelsea, I can't imagine he's starting or anything. He'd be playing in the reserves, or get loaned out somewhere. But it's still a great experience for him. So, not complaining. So we also had a NWSL game yesterday, or was it today? Was it today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
At Erik, the Orlando Pride. They keep winning 3-0. Marta and Alex Morgan score. Rachael, you watched it.
Yeah, I mean, during the Tournament of Nations, there were actually two Brazilians that scored in this match. Camelia was the other one. Brazil didn't have the greatest Tournament of Nations. Last place, getting a 6-1 whopping by the champions, the Aussies. So coming back to the Pride and being able to score, 2 out of the 3 goals being Brazilian, that's pretty darn good. And I said during the one podcast during the Tournament of Nations, Alex Morgan didn't have a good tournament. She was off the whole time. Yeah, she had that goal in the Japan game, but she was off in the first and the second game. And I said she needed to go back to her club. She needed to score some goals. And Alex Morgan heeded my advice, Jill Ellis, and listened to me. And she had a pretty good strike, too. Now, the Pride are in a very interesting situation because their goalkeeper, Ashlyn Harris, has been cleared to play on Saturday. But all of this winning that they're doing has been with Audrey Bledsoe in goal. Now, Ashlyn Harris, I firmly believe, is the most overhyped goalkeeper in the NWSL and the U.S. Women's National Team pool. Tom Sermanni's going to play her. There's no doubt he's going to play her. But I think goalkeeper is one of those positions that you need to have that consistency. And I think taking Audrey Bledsoe out when she's been doing so well is just, I don't like it.
You got to stick with the hot hand. In this case, it's Bledsoe. Tom, don't get me started on you, too.
I agree with you. You do need that consistency, but it's very much like in Atlanta, right? Where, yes, Brad Guzan got to step in because Khan was injured. But now Khan's fit, and he can't come back in because he's brought Guzan, and they're not going to sit him.
Nah, they should.
That's kind of what happens sometimes, though, is the bigger name player. Was she playing badly when she left, though?
She wasn't consistently winning.
It's not always the goalkeeper's fault, though, when goals go in. So I agree with you that it's like that whole backup quarterback situation, right? Of do you keep with the hot hand of the backup, or do you go back to your old starter? And in this case, I think he just kind of feels like the old starter is going to work for me, but that's always a tricky situation, I feel. Let's see if it messes up the chemistry. Then you'll be totally right, Rachel. You can yell at Tom some more.
I actually like Tom Sermani, so I don't want to yell at him.
I can do the yelling for you if necessary.
He can get the Ben Olsen treatment.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole thing, the name already fits, so it can be good to go, Tom. And it's only sad that this isn't on video, because for some reason I have this urge to give this, side-eye after I say his name. I gotta work on that.
So I do have a few more things that apparently. So Bobby Boswell did get acquired by Atlanta, so that's good for Atlanta. They needed help defensively. Veteran move here. DC letting go of a player, which I'm sure makes Erik happy.
Again, another player going to a winning team and contributing to something awesome for the remainder of the season. I approve of this.
Well, I forgot to mention this here for DC United. DC also picked up Russell Canoose, former U.S. Youth International from Hoffenheim, defensive midfielder, on a multi-year deal. So
see, for what? What? No. This is not the plan, Ben. No.
What?
No.
He's 22 and he can play. He played in freaking the Bundesliga. You're gonna say no?
Yes, because we had opportunities. Now, granted, if this were 2 months ago, I would have said, hey, come on board. We need help. We're drowning. It ain't good. Do something and bring back the old magic of RFK. But no. My dreams are dead. Buried in the ground. The dirt's on top. The headstone's in place. And ain't a damn soul is bringing any flowers. So no. This no. You're all in with the horse crap? I'm gonna just keep shoveling.
But come on, it's not like you just have these wonderful super draft picks that you need to make.
No, at this point, I want them to fail in the super draft too. I want their first season in Audi Field to just be equally as miserable as this one. Only then will I see the greatness that is Dharma rain down upon them and make my life ever so happy and rainbow and dolphins jumping in the lake complete. Sunset and everything.
I don't understand. So if they make a nice run to end the season, you're not going to be happy about this at all?
Oh, hell no. I'm going to be even more pissed off.
I'm still not understanding why this is such a... You don't get any reward for being bad.
No, I'm not even saying be bad for the purpose of a reward. I'm just saying be bad for the purpose of this is what you are. This is what you've created for yourselves. I do this with teams all the time, and they listen to me. I saw Detroit go completely bat crap and crap the bed and go 0-16.
So if they were making these moves in the summer, you would be less angry.
Yes. Yes.
So if they made a miracle run and got into the playoffs, you would still be mad.
Nope.
Yeah. Because, I mean, think about it. Do you remember the Detroit Tigers back in 2003?
Vaguely.
I do.
I don't watch a lot of baseball, but yeah.
Jeremy Bonderman, Mike Maroth, the first tandem to lose 20 games in a season. You know how hard I was rooting for them to lose when they got to late September and only had won 40 games that year? Do you know what they did to piss me off? They won 5 out of their last 7 and avoided being the worst team in the modern era in Major League Baseball. And they had the gall to celebrate a walk-off hit at home plate that last game that assured them not achieving the record of futility. You know how angry
Who wants to be the guy that holds the record of futility? I mean, come on. So you're the guy that was voting for the Browns to go in 16 last year, then?
You damn right I was.
Come on. You know how humiliating that is for those players?
Yes, but you're in the Hall of Fame. You'll get to point and laugh at yourselves in 30 years saying, man, you remember how crappy that season was? You remember when the guy
Who's going to go to the Hall of Fame from that team?
Well,
nobody.
But they have their picture in the Hall of Fame. The first team ever to go 0-16. The Browns could have joined them. They could have had their picture too. They could have gone, got drunk, hopped right over to Canton and, regaled in their misery. But no, they couldn't even do that. So you're not even being historically bad. You're just in the void of bad where everybody forgets. You know how insignificant and banal your life is in that void? It ain't a fun place.
So it's more significant that you went 0-16 or were the worst team in the league?
Yes.
Why?
Absolutely. You're remembered. You aren't just bad, you are historically bad. Your name is in the record books for all time.
But DC aren't going to be historically bad, so what does it matter if they get better?
This is my point. Why bother?
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, so if they finish last, or if they finish, 8th, does it really matter at that point? Because they're not going to break any record for being so bad. They already have 19 points.
And this is my point. Why keep trying? You're on that precipice. I mean, what the hell? You're not making a miracle run to the playoffs. You're not even making a miracle run to 8th. You've already done so much, and there's so many points and so many reasons and so much crap that I have seen from you that this officially cannot be salvaged. I'm going
to laugh if DC start doing stuff.
I'm going to take this season, I'm putting on a toe tag, I'm zipping up the bag, putting you in the freezer, and turning the lights out in the morgue. Walking away and going and having a beer. That's how I feel.
Fair enough. See, sometimes it's good to just keep poking the bear. You get more angry, Erik, so it's fine. But, so you weren't, I wanted to ask you this question, Rachel. I don't know how well, you can answer it, but the loss of Lynn Skivardson Jensen tearing an ACL, is that a huge deal?
I look at it as a sense of, okay, Whitney Church just got her starting job back on the Washington Spirit, but that's their second ACL injury this year. Joanna Lohman already had torn her ACL in the first match of the season. That's their second one this year, and she is a regular starter under Jim Gabarra, so it's a pretty big loss for them.
Yeah, she'd played every minute of the Women's Euro until she got injured, so...
Mm-hmm.
I kind of saw that and I was like, oh, that sucks. And didn't even get to play in the final or anything. Just, ugh. But hey, they performed well. You watched, the last 45 minutes of that game?
Yeah, it was intense. It was fun, though.
Awesome stuff. I still say people need to go back and watch that game. It was freaking great. What an awesome final. Probably, with all these finals that we get a lot of times that are just kind of boring and people like playing it safe, those two teams just went out there and said, you know what, the hell with it. We're going to go blazing on this. And
well, the semifinals is where it got really interesting, too, because it was like Germany's out, and they've won it for what they said, the past 5 years.
Yeah.
So the fact that Germany was 7, the fact that Germany wasn't in there, it was like, oh, we're having a new champion. Who could it be? And I don't think anyone expected Austria to make it as far as they did.
I think Denmark having to go all the way to extra time and all that hurt them when the Netherlands didn't have to. But, plus it helps you're on home soil as well. But What, Erik?
Oh, I was going to say, thinking back, the last time any team other than Germany won the Women's Euros, I was only 7.
Whew.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Well, that means Rachael and I were a lot younger. So
I don't think I was thought of.
We're how much different? We're 2 years different in age, Erik?
I'm 20.
Oh, well.
I'm young.
30.
You and I were about the same age. I'm only 31.
Yeah, so I was, 6?
Yeah.
And so, woo.
Oh, my. I'm a youngin'.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't even
old
thought
over
of.
Here. No,
Granted, I'm adopted, so I don't think I was ever necessarily thought of, but,
Hey, at one point, maybe. It just...
One point, one night, the vodka got flowing. You know how it goes.
Hey. Good. I have no response for that.
I don't either. I don't know what
Hey, look, if it wasn't for Harvey's Bristol Cream Sherry, I wouldn't be sitting here doing this podcast with you right now. I get it completely.
Hey, if it wasn't for the Russian calendars and Russian New Year's, I wouldn't be here.
See? There was vodka as a part of that.
There you go.
Guaranteed.
There had to be. It had to go back and, I'm sure even on Ancestry.com there will be a little write-up about vodka being involved. Sure.
You get the leaf notification and a little shot glass next to it. Or that's how it goes in my mind. Ancestry, if you're smart, you would take that idea and run with it. You're welcome.
I'm sure they've already figured out that, hey, we can charge you to look up your ancestry, so...
Yes, but
what if Ben took that idea and sold it to them?
Then I would immediately demand a cut of the money, otherwise we would have some other words. Ben, you're not going to take any of that money and actually buy decent players this season, are you, Ben? You better not.
What? Come on now. Are we really hating on him for these moves? We don't even know two of these. We really don't even know two of these players. Come on. And Paul Arriola is not. He is a good signing.
Good in what sense?
He's going to help them, even though you don't want them to win.
Then why bother? To me, it was a bad signing.
I was trying not to go in this direction again, but hey, we could talk about this because you're going to get mad in another sense, so it's fine.
Oh, God. What now?
The Nashville ownership group has expanded to adding Mark, Ziggy, and Leonard Wilf of the Minnesota Vikings. They are minority owners.
No. Stop it. No.
This probably means that Nashville is even closer to becoming one of the...
Don, don't even think about it. Run. Run in the opposite direction. No, do not stand for this.
Hold on. Why would he need to run in the opposite direction? They get people in those stadiums. Like, what are we complaining about here? Because you don't like Nashville?
So then why does it take ownership of the Minnesota Vikings? Now, if it were, say, Titans ownership, that's one thing that's legit.
Because nobody's going to say no to money.
So what, Minnesota? You got the shiny new stadium. Why don't you focus on, I don't know, maybe getting Minnesota United at your place instead of playing at TCF Bank? I mean, what are you doing? What are you thinking, Wilf Brothers? What's going on in your heads right now? Don, don't trust it. Something's up. The game is afoot, and it's dirty.
Oh, my God.
Ignore the shirts, Don. They ain't that good. The footy face ones are even better, Don.
If this is Erik sober, I don't want to know what happens when he's drunk. Hold on. So, for one, I think we already talked about this. It's much easier to come into a team as a minority owner where there's nothing being created. You have a hand in building something instead of coming into something that's already there.
No, I've seen experiences with minority owners and majority owners in different franchises and this going on. I lived through it firsthand here in Jacksonville. It wound up in abject failure on both sides. Now, if it winds up being abject failure in this case, I wouldn't necessarily complain. Don't get me wrong. Don, still, listen to me. Something about this ain't right. Something about this don't make sense. There's just something. Minnesota, Nashville, Minnesota United, no Titans ownership. Don, I know you're with me. 2 and 2, and it's not large enough quantities of 2 to where you get 5 either. This ain't making sense, Don. I'm telling you right now.
This doesn't seem like a Nashville went to the Minnesota Vikings owners and said, do you want to be in this? This feels more like the other way around.
That's even worse. Why are they snooping around in other people's business? Why are they up in the southern Kool-Aid? Your Kool-Aid's just as good up north. You're closer to Canada, so you use more real sugar. All right? Come on now.
God.
I think we need to go to bed.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think that's a nice close to this. Erik is angry at many things. Tune in on Sunday for more Angry Erik and us recapping MLS games, the second week of VAR, NWSL, how DC looks after these signings, everything else going on as well. So, yeah. Thank you for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed what you heard and the angry banter as well. And we'll be seeing you later. Hit that subscribe button so you can know when we have a podcast. It shows up right in your feed, whether it's on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever, even on YouTube, W2Mnet.com, Last Word Radio. We're all there. And thank you for listening, and we'll see you on Sunday.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.